you guys know I've been super critical of Marvel games the last few months, really, especially with how bad Marvel's Avengers did. Um, and I've just been saying like they have to come up from this, especially with how well the MCU has done lately. Um, we need to have games that match that quality, and Marvel's Avengers, that game wasn't it. I talked about last time about Midnight Suns, which I'm optimistic for, but still, we don't know where it'll go. It's created by the same people as XCOM. But I
Yeah.
think today's PlayStation Showcase really highlighted some Marvel games that I can really get behind and really look forward to. Uh, First off on the list is gonna be Spider-Man, right? I know right off the bat people were confused because the trailer ends and it says Spider-Man 2, and everyone's like, wait, isn't it Spider-Man 3? Like, didn't we just get a Spider-Man game like with the Miles Morales game?
Yeah.
And I guess the answer is yes and no. So in the original Spider-Man game, came out on PS4. It's obviously a Peter
Yeah.
Parker story, and near the end of it, you really start getting Miles Morales. Miles Morales is in that game, and it kind of builds up to him getting his powers, and he gets his powers at the end. And then in Spider-Man Miles Morales, which came out on PS5 and PS4, you really see it's his story. So now that we have Spider-Man 2, I think this is going to be focused on Peter Parker again, but because we already have Miles Morales, he'll probably be a playable character in the sense that, like for Gotham Knights, for example, where or even like the later Arkham games, where you can have multiple superheroes and you can like switch between the two, or maybe it's just you switch the skin or the armor and all that. So I'm excited about that, but I think one of the more exciting points here was Venom showing up at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think about this?
I love everyone loves themselves some
Some
Venom,
Venom, yeah.
so Venom is definitely a plus for. Like you said, Spider-Man is probably the one true MCU game that has come out that's been a true
Oh yeah,
success. So bringing out Venom just gives that extra
yeah.
punch.
And some people may not have noticed, but I mean, I'm a big comic book fan, so I noticed right away that the
Yeah,
person narrating is Craven, who's another villain in like the Spider-Man's like
yeah,
gallery of villains. So the narrator was originally Craven saying like who's gonna step up, and then it was, I think the person that voiced Venom was perfect, right?
hmm
Like that voice was just,
it's eerie. It's like eerie, but
yeah,
still,
so
yeah,
raw,
yeah,
and I was like, oh yeah, that's it. We got a real Venom. We've seen Venom before in Spider-Man games, like the old games from like 10 years ago. And honestly, it was fine, and it was pretty fun. But seeing him in like this new Spider-Man game is gonna be great because Insomniac has done such a good job with these Spider-Man games. Like everyone talked about the original Spider-Man game and even the Miles Morales one as game of the year. A lot of people had him
yeah,
on top of their lists. And when you see list of um, like superhero video games, Spider-Man One and Miles Morales are always near the top. So they have really
yeah.
good scores, like Metacritic scores, and Insomniac just knows what to do with these characters, and they do it well. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. The only thing about the end of this was really funny when it said it's coming out in 2023.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking up the date of when the Spider-Man movie comes out. I was like, man, it would be perfect if they kind of out of nowhere they're just like, here, coming out beginning of 2022 or something like
Yeah,
that, and then after the movie comes out, a few months later, the game comes out. But 2023,
that's so far
it's like
out.
quite a wait. Yeah, which is, I mean, it was a cinematic, so there was no gameplay. It
Yeah,
was, uh, you know,
I,
but I mean, people are gonna wait for it.
yeah,
It's Spider-Man. That's the big selling point for PlayStation.
yeah,
But it definitely was a big selling point for PlayStation 4.
and it's
So
gonna be a
might be that
PlayStation
big.
5 exclusive, like
Yeah,
for
which is
reals this
what
time,
it should be.
right?
Yeah,
Hopefully.
yeah, should be if they don't do
Yeah,
that
by
then
2023, I think they should
just
have it
killing it.
together where they can release an exclusive PS5 game.
Hmm.
So that one was definitely a surprise. I think for a lot. A lot of people didn't expect that, especially since Miles Morales came out not too long ago. It hasn't even been a year, I think, since
Yeah,
Spider-Man Miles Morales came out. It came out with the new consoles. So
definitely that felt like it was a little less of a. Not that it was less of a game, but definitely the hype around that was not as big. So maybe
correct.
they
Yeah.
they felt like they needed something else to kind of. And everyone loves Spider-Man. The movie's coming out soon, so
Oh yeah.
just keep churning them out. So
Keep the hype up.
yeah,
Yeah. Sony knows what they're doing.
yeah,
Sony knows what they're doing with Spider-Man.
yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
but then another Marvel surprise that we got was Wolverine. Oh
Yeah, that
my
one was
god. This I, I got so hyped for this. Like when you see the clip, and again, this one has no gameplay. It's kind of like Knights of the Old Republic where it just
it's
showed.
like 20-second clip
Yeah,
or something
and
like
it's
that.
just like
It was perfect.
shows him like just like with his drink, and you kind of see his knuckles, and I thought I was like, is that Wolverine? Like I thought about it for a second because you see all the like scratches and stuff.
It For me, it looked like the bar from Deadpool. I was like, is that? I was like, it kind of looks like Deadpool. I mean, it's not obviously
Yeah,
not Deadpool, but that bar looks the same. So I was like, yeah, it was confusing. And then you kind of see, like you said, see his fist, and you're just like, oh, that's
yep,
Wolverine.
exactly. And then he just the claws come out, and then it cuts there, and I was just like, oh, what the heck just happened? So it was
Yeah.
funny, but at the same time, it showed that the developers Insomniac, who developed the
Hmm.
Spider-Man games. So I think that's where the hype is there. Honestly, it's like, hey, the same guys that did Spider-Man are now doing a Wolverine game, and I think
Yeah.
that's where everyone is really getting excited for it. And like I saw a bunch of people on like TikTok, like Soups, for example, like he does a lot of like superhero content, and like
Hmm.
how excited they got for this was like really funny to watch. Just like them jumping, and you're like, yeah, like honestly, it was like if their team had scored, and it was
Yeah.
really funny to see people's reactions online and all over Twitter. Honestly, like we didn't even get gameplay, guys, and people are already like,
Like
"Yeah,
20
this is gonna
seconds.
be
I
the
was waiting
best
to do. Yeah.
game of the year, calling it now." And I was like, "Oh, all right." Some guys are getting a little ahead of themselves, but at the same time, because it's Insomniac, I mean, they've done so well. They have a good reputation with superhero games. Maybe they deserve it. Maybe they deserve to get that much hype around Wolverine.
Yeah, I mean, if they use the same engine and they're using the same, formula as they are with Spider-Man, I don't see how it's not a
Yeah,
success. And Wolverine's one of the most badass characters in that. I think the MCU. At least I would
oh
say
yeah,
he's definitely one of the most badass ones.
yeah.
So
All of Marvel.
to get a Wolver to get a Wolverine game is just
Yeah.
amazing. I hope they bring it on a PC or something that I can play it on because as much as I love Spider-Man, Wolverine's just one of those guys. I love Wolverine. I love all Wolverine movies, and just his character is just amazing.
Yeah,
So
I mean his character is natural to come out for a game with him because like years ago before we had the real MCU, all we really had was Spider-Man and X-Men, and when you saw
mhm.
X-Men, you immediately thought of Wolverine. Like those were the two
Yeah,
big Marvel heroes at the time. So Sony obviously owns the rights to Spider-Man, and they had all these games come out. I think and I hope Wolverine comes out on all consoles and on PC because Wolverine
yeah.
isn't owned by Sony. Wolverine obviously for movies it's owned by
The
Disney.
X-Men did they sell X-Men? I thought Disney bought the rights. Well, I think Sony kept the rights to Spider-Man and then to X-Men,
No,
and
Sony
then
doesn't have the
sold
rights
off
to
the
the
other
X Men. At
ones.
least in the movies, they
No,
don't. No,
okay,
no, the because the X Men belonged to Fox, and then Disney bought out
okay,
Fox. So Sony only really kept Spider Man. That was it. And
okay,
I think the Hulk belongs to like Universal or something. But that's at the movie
yeah,
level, right? I think when it comes to the game level, Sony outright bought from Marvel the rights to Spider-Man across all levels.
okay,
For Wolverine, I mean, we're gonna get Wolverine in Midnight Suns. He came out as one of
yeah,
the characters that's gonna be available. Um, Obviously, you see Wolverine in Ultimate, not yeah, Ultimate Alliance, and you see him in Marvel vs. Capcom, and those games came out. on Xbox. So
Yeah,
I think, and I'm really hoping this Wolverine single player game is going to be available across the board. And I think it,
it's. I really hope
yeah,
so.
I
I
think
hope
it'll
it's not.
give the Xbox players a taste of what Insomniac can do with a good
Yeah,
character and honestly with really good storytelling. And that was kind of one of the main selling points of Spider-Man is they really did their research in the comic books and they came out with a whole unique story. It was actually a unique story. They took elements from different stories of Spider-Man, but like the whole Doc Ock and him being an intern for him and all that, like all of that was really unique stories that they created just for this game. And I believe in Insomniac that they're gonna really look into Wolverine as a character and really develop something around him, a good story
yeah.
around him and who he is and like how he comes to be the Wolverine. So I'm really excited about it, and yeah, I think they're gonna do a good job,
I
and fingers crossed it's available
yeah.
for everyone to play.
I hope so because that, like I said, I want to play Spider-Man so badly, but honestly, I don't want to dish out for a PlayStation.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, but if it's on Xbox, I really hope so. And it's gonna be interesting how they pace out the games because I mean, I don't think they had a release date for
No, they
Wolverine, so I don't know if
didn't
it's gonna
show.
be after Spider-Man or is it gonna be
Legit, they
before?
didn't show
How
anything.
are they gonna? Yeah, it was just like 20 seconds, and then just like okay, and now they have to do the show was Wolverine, and that's
Yep,
it.
that's all they needed though.
But yeah, yeah, for sure. Is it going to be after Spider-Man? Is it going to be before? I don't know, but hopefully it's before, because then they're going to have to wait till 2024, the end of 2023. So
Yeah,
hopefully we don't have to wait that
no,
long. I mean, that's 2 3 years out. I'm not trying to wait that
no,
long, but
not.
I mean, I'll still wait for it if it's on Xbox at
Yeah,
least for
we'll
sure.
wait for it, but we don't want to.
No,
Yeah.
no, bring it next year. Next year would be great.
The last Marvel game I want to talk about, it had less hype, just because we've already seen it. Was Guardians of the Galaxy. Um, Again, this is coming out from Square Enix, who are the same people that made Marvel's Avengers. So I'm kind of taking it with a grain of salt. And but they give us more gameplay and they give us more story. I think it looks really fun. I think it does a lot of callbacks to the movies, the Guardian of the Galaxy movies that really, I mean, a lot of people were introduced to these Guardians because of the movies. So the
Yeah,
games are naturally going to pull from that. But you can tell that these are actually like a lot of their characters taken from the comic books as well because they are different from the movies, and
yeah,
I think it was really interesting. I think it's worth mentioning. Guardians. I think the gameplay is going to be really good. They've talked about the gameplay where it seems like you're just going to be really playing as Star Lord and kind of helping control the other Guardians. And I think that's fine. I think that works for a single player game. We saw it work for Final Fantasy Remake. So obviously Square Enix did that. So I think they're kind of thinking of taking those same mechanics and making it work here. And hopefully it works really well. I think for a Guardians story, it might play out well. But like I said, I'm taking it with a grain of salt just because it's Guardians of the Galaxy. But overall, for like Marvel showing at the PlayStation Showcase, I think it was ultimately a plus. They did really well with Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine,
for sure.
and Guardians was kind of just like, all right, we're gonna throw this in there too, and kind of fingers crossed for that one that it does well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for sure. Guardians, like I said, unless you're a really big Marvel or comic book fan, I don't see yourself buying it
Yeah,
personally. Like me myself, I'm probably not gonna get it, unless it's free or something. But like I said, Marvel did great as long as they. I think them focusing on games like Spider-Man and Wolverine and these like storyline, really focusing on just one character is really the way for them to go in the future, rather than making these, um, I guess, Avenger type games for sure. But um, yeah, they did well. For sure, hype created for sure a bunch of
yeah,
hype.
yeah. So, yeah, I give Marvel an A plus showing at the PlayStation Showcase.